Welcome, dear friends, to the Spirit Society of Virginia. We are here in our cardiac radio studios as well. It's another studio of ours where we are transmitting our talk tonight. As you all know, we have come to the decision to join forces with this worldwide task force, especially the World Health Organization, in blocking the spread or trying to minimize the spread of the coronavirus. So the less we mingle together, the better it is. It is difficult. It's not easy because what else can you do? You need to stay home. Yes, we need to figure out a way, and thanks to the internet, we can be here together. So we're going to begin our meeting here with the initial message. And Paloma Patterson and Daisy Gallen are going to help us, join us as well. At some point, we may ask them to join us also to make a comment or two about the theme today, Blessed are the Afflicted, which was pre-scheduled since December, and it's so fitting for the current time. So we're very grateful that you have joined us and you feel hopeful that these teachings that we're going to revisit tonight may be beneficial to all of us. So here we have Paloma. Paloma, thank you.
Hello, everyone. We're going to start by reading the message number 26, titled Suffering. Do not fear the things you are about to suffer. One of Christ's major concerns has been to remove the ghost of fear from his disciples' paths. Acquiring faith is not a common event on the roads of life. It means total trust. What does it mean to suffer, after all? Actually, the suffering of many persons is much like the suffering of children who have lost their toys. Many people feel that they are exemplary sufferers because they cannot commit evil. Others rebel because God has not fulfilled their pernicious desires. In order to lend due cooperation to the gospel, we must join the faithful caravan that is on its way to meet Jesus. We need to understand that a loyal friend is one who avoids conflict and is always willing to do good deeds. To participate in the spirit of evangelical service is to share in the Master's decisions, hence fulfilling the divine will of the Father who is in heaven. Therefore, let us not fear what we might have to suffer. God is a magnanimous and just Father. A father does not dole out suffering. He provides correction, and all correction only improves.
Thank you, Paloma. And now we're going to invite all of you to join us here at Cardiac Radio and the Spirit Side of Virginia in a prayer as we begin this moment that is truly therapeutic. The message that Paloma read by Emmanuel through Chico Xavier gives to us an invitation. It's an invitation to a new paradigm in the way we understand and feel life. So let us feel the vibrations, and I'm going to put some background music here just to make us feel ever more inspired and feel the vibrations of on high. Let us feel that the loving and kind spirit protectors of all of us, the individuals and the collective, are here helping us rebalance ourselves to keep on living in this very moment. Dear God, dear Mother, Father God, what a unique time we're living. Everything is so different. inviting us to boost our creativity and our joy of living. We recognize that this is also a time to count the blessings and to observe how fortunate we are on earth. Thank you for trusting that each one of us is capable to serve the current times. Thank you for granting us the tools given by our Master Jesus to remain serenity. With your permission, with your guidance and protection, we open our moment of reflection tonight. And so be it. Okay, friends. Interesting enough, we are here at a time when we've been living a very high paced life. And now life is asking us to slow down. We are being asked to change the dynamics. And slow down not necessarily means just the speed of it all. It's about the priorities as well. To revisit the priorities. So blessed are the afflicted. When we think about this, I want to share with you a few images, a few images that may help us understand a little better what we want to talk about. Do you remember when Jesus taught us the Beatitudes? It all began when he was at the Mount. But there is a context to it. A good teacher never teaches without context. There is a context. In the book Good News by the spirit author Brother X, Humberto de Campos, through Chico Xavier, we get to know what made Jesus go to the Mount and gives us the guidelines in the sermon, the Beatitudes mostly. And it says to us that it was a time in which one of his disciples, James, was visited at his house prior to the sermon. And three men who came along, they were very much in need of help. And they were excited about Jesus coming to their town. And they wanted to join in. But our dear James was brutal. He said, none of you three can be of help to disseminating the gospel. And to each one of them, he disclosed the reasons why. Their shortcomings, their limitations. When he finished it, Jesus came into his house with a few other disciples, and enthusiastically James disclosed the very happening that he just experienced. And Jesus was sad and explained to him, but my dear disciple, what are the good news for those who are afflicted, for those who are suffering, who are troubled by their guilt, by their deeds of the past, by the current situations in their lives, of course they are welcome. But he didn't reprimand James, but he clarified it all. James felt that anguish inside of his heart. He didn't imagine that he made that mistake. Later on, at sunset, Jesus goes to the top of the mount. Hundreds of people follow him, the disciples included, and he starts talking about the blessings of God that come especially for those who are afflicted, because what they are suffering today is an experience, an educational experience that will come to terms what they've done in the past and will prepare them for the future co-creations with God. Everybody was in ecstasies, feeling deeply nourished, feeling in awe. And when they are coming down from the mountain, James sees the three men that visited him earlier at home. They were happy, they were joyful, they were hopeful. And when they came down from the mountain, James decided to approach them and to hug them. By hugging them, he meant the equality of us all. Suffering equalizes us all. And by doing so, Jesus smiled to James, silently congratulating him for being fully aware of what he had explained before. And later, Jesus says, "Well done, James. Blessed are those who have ears to hear and fulfill God's words." So here we have for all of us this experience. For us, in this moment of the mount, we have this single opportunity to visualize exactly what has happened in the mount. So for us, as I'm going to share a few more slides, and I hope you can see it, okay? Because I think now you'll probably see it right now. Am I right or not? No, not yet. Okay, hold on. Showing stream. Okay. All right. Now we got it. Okay. All right. So, friends, one thing is to do it in the center, another is here. So, as we do the blessed are the afflicted, and we revisit the context of it all, why Jesus was teaching that, it had a true context for the time. We're going tonight to revisit the types of suffering. Why is this so important? Because there are different types of afflictions, of pain. And in the book, Action and Reaction, or Ação e Reação, Mentor Druzel explains to André Luiz and others that in life we may go through three types of pain or afflictions. One of them is the so-called expiation pain or atoning suffering, however we want to name it. In Portuguese, it's titled expiation suffering. And it says to us that this pain, this affliction is felt from inside out. What does that mean? It is just like the story that we heard before, the death and rescue of a woman who was a slave owner. And one day she came to her home from a trip, and as usual, she would give her blessings to each and every slave. At some point, she came across this woman who had just given birth to two babies. This young slave, she is not very happy about it all. And she says she needs to have a conversation with her. She takes her to some part of the farm near a river and says and tells her that those babies are not her sons, though she knew they were. They are bastards, and said, "Now you go, you'll be free, and your way out will be the river. Go." She has no choice but to throw herself into a river and discarnate. One of her employees, let's say this way, he actually reinforced it all and pushed the woman to fulfill it. After everybody discarnated, including the slave owner, in the afterlife, she meets the experimenters and she begins to be repentant of her pride, prejudice, selfishness. She asks for an opportunity to reincarnate. She's fully aware that she needs to reincarnate in conditions that would mimic, in a way, what she had the slaves go through. So she's born, after a while, she's born in a little village in a place that is very poor, like in a slum. Very poor. She has her own children. She is there remarried, and this is the reincarnation of the slave owner, the woman. She's there with her children, and one day a storm comes up. The flooding comes in. Her husband and her children have to fight for their survival. They try their best, but it's hopeless because in some way she's taken by the flooding and discarnates. This is an example of what is the affliction, this expiation suffering, or the expiation pain, the atoning suffering, or the atoning pain. We will at some point go through the experiences that we had other people go through. Do you remember the book Memoirs of a Suicide? We have the case of Camilo Botelho, a pseudonym of the spirit Camilo Castelo Branco, the renowned Portuguese writer who wrote these beautiful teachings through Yvonne Pereira. And we get to know that he himself will reincarnate and he has to go through blindness at a specific age, just like the blindness that he caused into another man in the 17th century. He asked for it because he was truly repentant. I know that you and I are here right now and we say, but I don't. I don't want to suffer. That's crazy. Yeah, because here we forget about what we've done. Thank God. If we go to the book, The Gospel According to Spiritism, right here on my right hand, we're going to know that there is a reason why we forget about the past, the forgetfulness of the past. In the Spirit's book, we have more questions and answers explaining it. Out of mercy, God doesn't allow us to remember. Some people claim that they cannot fulfill their reincarnatory plan because they don't remember what it is to do. But you know, It takes a little observance on ourselves to figure out what to do in this life. And for majority of us on earth, we need a lot of adjustment. As Chico Xavier used to say, we, in a certain way, are like the people who are in prison, criminals. The difference between them and us, Chico Xavier used to say, is that they were found out. We are not. In terms of the divine law. So, does it mean that we want to suffer? No. Vanessa, is it healthy to be willing to suffer? No. Camilo, when he surrendered to the reincarnatory plan, he didn't want to suffer. But he said, I need this learning experience. Aha. Now we're coming to one of the reasons why we're here tonight, to change the paradigm. What paradigm? Life's experiences are learning experiences. We are here to learn. Louise Hay, the author of the book You Can Heal Your Life, recommends, before you shoo away the diseases, ask the disease, what do you want to teach me? Because if we don't find out what we need to learn with financial constriction, with any limitation, we're not going to overcome it. For example, if we want to pass through this coronavirus more quickly, start asking yourself, what is God willing to teach me right now? Irrespective if you contract the virus or not, because our lives are already changed. It's not that it will change. Our lives are not the same as like a day ago, a week ago, a month ago. So, what does God want from us? Not that God put the coronavirus here, no, but the laws of life are such that we attracted this. We created the Frankenstein monster that we call the coronavirus. We all did because it's harassing us. It's coming after us. Why? What have we emitted to create that? What have we done collectively? What do we need to change? This is what Louise Hay calls responsibility. Take personal responsibility. Mhm. No matter what's happening in the world, we're part of it. We're interdependent. So, what do I need to learn at this moment? What does God want me to learn? The sooner we get to the answer, the sooner this Frankenstein will be dissolved in the new awareness that we're creating. Because certainly this comes as a spiritual broom to cleanse our minds of lots of vices, lots of prejudices. Yes, Paloma is saying the law of action and reaction right in front of your eyes. Right? Paloma, do you mind if I bring you up and you can say it out loud since you're there? I know Todd is there. He was welcome to join us too. Okay? Let me just bring you guys up. All right. Please.
It's just the observations of our current times. It shows to us, it's just so evident that we are really reaping what we sowed in the past, but it doesn't matter really. It brings reflection. What have we done? But it allows us to heal. I think that's the beauty of divine laws, is that it doesn't come to punish us. It says it is a teaching moment for us. Let us calm down, stay home, do a lot of self-reflection with our families, and heal from the situation. It's an opportunity for all of us to do much better.
Yes, I agree with you. And you remember, Paloma, that when we were on Monday at the mediumistic meeting, the mentor said to us that this is our time also for reconciliation with the self and others, because oftentimes we create dissensions in our families or in our communities, etc., forgetting that we're supposed to be one,
One.
united, and united in the good, in the doing the good in general, right?
Absolutely. It's a time for us to exercise goodness instead of selfishness, right? It's one of the teachings that is coming out of this is when we're seeing people going to the supermarket and getting everything, it's like, but what if my neighbor doesn't have it, or I don't know, other members of the community that didn't get to the supermarket, right? Let us exercise, goodness, diminishing selfishness. It's a great opportunity for reflection, and what a message today, so fitting to it.
Yes, you're right. Thank you, Paloma. And as we are seeing here, and I'm going to keep showing a little bit more of the other types of pain. So let us go back and see what Mentor Druso keeps teaching us that can be so inspirational. Okay, hold on a second because I'm shifting gears here. Okay, when we go back to the types of suffering, Mentor Druso in the book Action and Reaction, which was psychographed by Chico Xavier and the spirit author Isandra Lewis, he shows to us that there's another type of pain, affliction, suffering, which is evolution pain or evolutive suffering. And I think it goes hand in hand with what Paloma is saying too, because it's asking us to evolve a little faster, saying, come on, you know better. It's like when you go to the gym and you're working muscles you haven't worked before. This is time, as Paloma was reminding us, to think of others. And I remember today I saw many posts here in Northern Virginia, from Fairfax to Loudoun County, of many people who were concerned about the kids who go to public schools and don't have easy access to meals. Their parents don't have the resources that other families do. And people, you know, doing food drive and even delivering the meals to the kids, to the families, in order to make their lives happier because they can't go to school where they were receiving their breakfast, their snacks, their lunch. So it's time for us to really think about exercising muscles we have forgotten. So, oops. The final and third type of pain is assisting suffering or aiding pain, aiding affliction. What is it? It's a type of suffering or affliction that we go through in order to avoid greater problems, to prepare for the great passage, which is death, or to reflect on life. It's when we go through situations in which we, like, for example, a cold and a flu, great, because many people were thinking about going on great, crazy adventures and forgetting about their families. Now you can't. You can't. You have to stay there. Stay still. Stay put. So for some people, it may be a helping hand. They were thinking about creating so many problems in their own lives without noticing. Problems that would affect their whole family. Remember Geronimo, and this is something that I think Daisy, Paloma, and I can easily, and I'll bring Daisy too, right, Daisy? Because we have been studying the book Memoirs of a Suicide. When we talk about aiding pain, we see the life of Geronimo, and Geronimo da Silveira, who committed suicide because he went bankrupt. He forgot about what was going to happen to his family, his four children and wife. When he comes back from the spiritual realm and sees how they are doing, he's distraught. And they have later Mother Mary's intercession to help them all. But then he's deeply, um, he feels the sorrow and the guilt. Before he reincarnates, he starts understanding the blessings and the mercy of God, bringing to us some opportunities to boost our virtues. Let's talk about that moment. You remember, Daisy, when his daughter Margaridinha, she was being rescued from her prostitution. You want to talk a little bit about the helping hand, the suffering she went through that would help her renew her life. You want to talk about it? Oh, sorry.
You guys hear me, hopefully?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Yes.
Okay. Um, it's so interesting, Vanessa, because in that part in the book, we get to know that Jerome was very distraught because he learned that after he commits suicide, he is in the spiritual realm. He asks to see his family, and his daughter, pushed in a way through the circumstances by his own wife, is now living in prostitution, being mistreated. And he pleads to Mother Mary to help her. Um, and it's so beautiful because the mentors of um, Mother's Mary's hospital come to rescue Margaridinha, and they find her in this deplorable situation where she's being beaten by men. She, is being very mistreated. But then, in order to help her, they say, well, we need to do something drastic to get her out of the situation. So with the help of the mentors that are there, the spirits, they in a way inflict in her kind of like a convulsions, like a very drastic, yeah, seizures, yes, seizures. um, and someone seeing the situation may think, wow, do you know what's happening? Do you know why she's going through this? But their idea is that they needed that situation for those men, those people who were around her, to be like, wake up, like shaking up and get her out. She was taken out, she was taken to the hospital. And through going through that situation, which some people might see, wow, it's going through that suffering, by her staying in coma at the hospital, receiving the help of the mentors, uh, later on, she was able to free herself from that life, finding helping hands that would take her back to another country to start a completely new life. So I think it's the perfect example as we're talking about evolution pain or eating pain. Really, for the eyes of those sometimes seeing the situations we're going through, as we're talking about the coronavirus, it's, as we say, a blessing in disguise, right? We go through this, we see our family members go through this, but it's actually really God's mercy to help us, that we can be in a way protected for something that would be even worse in the long run.
Yeah. Thank you, Daisy. And Paloma, in that very same book, we see when they are studying in the spiritual realm, when they are being taught about their past reincarnations, and they decide, they see how important it is to come, reincarnate, and select particular experiences to evolve.
Mhm.
You want to talk a little bit about that, since we're talking about the different types of experiences?
Yes, and I was thinking exactly about Ivone Pereira, as she
Mhm.
is the medium that wrote the book.
Yeah.
And you can think that for her, as prior lives, the suicidal spirit having to relive and
Mhm.
tell us about it, that is suffering. It's painful coming, going deep on our, some of her deep sores in her
Mhm.
soul. But that there she is writing to us and explaining to us, at the same time that it's aiding her on keeping this reincarnation, the reincarnation that she wrote the book, not as a suicidal anymore, and
Mhm.
really teaching us the beautiful, experiences that God plans for us. Unfortunately, I think the majority of the time we are looking with the lenses that are kind of broken. We're only
Mhm.
looking right now and we see suffering as something that is happening at this very moment. And we
Mhm.
are not able to connect the dots until maybe later in life when you look back and you're like, oh, now I understand why I went through that in life. You start seeing the main highlights in our lives. So I think the book teaches us how we are able to change the lens that we're looking through and allow the healing to happen without rebellion.
Yes. And that means that if you go through the coronavirus experience, it
Mhm.
has a particular meaning that is to you different from somebody else.
Yeah.
So when people ask, what is this about? One thing we know, it's about reframing our lives and priorities. But
Mhm.
for each person, it may be something else. As Daisy said, for somebody, maybe aiding pain, like you were thinking about shifting gears in your life, it wasn't the right time. The spirit is saying, the best thing that can happen to you,
Stay put. Yeah.
yeah, stay put. And sometimes stay put in a hospital, saying, you stay there,
Mhm.
don't go through this. Other people, we have to say, like Paloma was mentioning, but remember, there are certain obsessions that happen here that you can only untie yourself from the ties that you have with the obsessors through certain diseases. So when we say, oh, the person died of the coronavirus, but what many people don't remember is that, or don't know, is that Professor Eurípides Barçanufo, who was a missionary who helped so many people at the Spanish flu,
Yeah.
he died in the Spanish flu of it.
Yes.
Mhm.
But his discarnation through it is completely different in its meaning to other people who had the Spanish flu.
Mhm.
So for each person, it means something. And I'm saying this because today I saw a post about, and I'll say this as because it was international. Everybody was concerned about whether the Brazilian president, Jair Bolsonaro, had contracted the virus or not. And some people are posting, oh, he's not contaminated because he's protected by God. What does that mean? That people who go through the coronavirus experience, they are not protected by God?
Mhm.
That's a wrong statement,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
We can't go there. Remember Paul of Tarsus in the book, Paul and Stephen. He People have this linear thinking. If you go through a certain experience, you're a bad person. God is not protecting you. God is only protecting you in health, wealth, and beauty and fame. Totally wrong. Because we're going to see in the very book, Memoirs of a Suicide, Geronimo himself, he's going to reincarnate. He's going to be rich. He's going to have 10,000 things. He's going to be influential. But his past doesn't tell us that that experience is because he's protected by God in the sense of like he's shielded. No, that experience is ever more challenging for him.
Yeah.
It's a learning experience. So the coronavirus experience is a learning opportunity for us, right?
I think, Vanessa, it makes it's making all of us reflect, right? As you were saying, in the world that we live nowadays, right? So there's so many distractions, quote unquote, to be, you know, distracted by the things of life. And I think in one way is bringing us back to really reflect what are the most fundamental important things in our lives and what we're here for. And just having that reflection, as you mentioned, that's unique for each one of us, but really to put us back on track, so that we can, we know that this reincarnation is precious, and we don't know the opportunities in other lives. So, as you said in the beginning, let's really be thankful and reflect on what we have and where we are, and see the really priorities in our lives. So,
Yes. Thank you, Daisy. So, as Carol Correa is saying, God is not partial or judgmental. Exactly. God is not. So now it's a time for reflection. That's the first take home message for all of us.
mhm,
For each one of us, this coronavirus experience may come with different colors, with different messages, but we need to do our part in
mhm,
digging in and identifying. If we really want to say, thank you, coronavirus, we are good, you can move on. We really need to do our share because it's here for a purpose.
yeah.
It's guided by our own magnetism to teach us something. So, talking about susceptibility to it, I think Spiritism is so providential in explaining to us why we may attract certain illnesses. So, let
Mhm,
me just share the stream here in the stream, a slide, a slide that may be very interesting in terms of teaching us why we attract certain things, illnesses in this case. Andre Lewis, in the book Evolution in Two Worlds, tells us that when we make a grave mistake in life, we create a zone of remorse in our spiritual body. And it creates what we call a perispiritual lesion or a nodule of vibratory disturbance. It's going to be vibrating in our spiritual body, and it will make us susceptible to certain experiences like physical illnesses, physical pain, in which it may manifest as illness in the physical body. We are expunging these disturbing vibrations that we have created, whether in this life or in a previous life. It may also generate a negative magnetic field that may attract problems in this life at moral level. And you may ask, but Vanessa, what does that mean? We are talking about, for example, going through, like Geronimo, he had to go through the experience of financial bankruptcy and he's going to reincarnate and go through it again.
mhm,
And that's when your morality is at test. You know, should I steal to keep myself up? Should I kill? Should I kill myself? Moral issues. Yes, it's a moral affliction or that disturbing vibratory nodule will connect us with the ones we hurt, forming bonds of
mhm,
negativity that we call obsession. In this very, very slide, we have here uh, the opportunity to revisit where we are. So it's up to us, and I'll keep the slide and all of us together if possible, so we can here wrap up the message of tonight. We're revisiting why the afflicted are blessed. And then André Luiz discloses to us that we only go through illnesses, moral tests and challenges, or even obsessions due to things we have created and are not balanced. It's a way to expunge it all. So, where are the blessings of such afflictions, right?
Mhm.
Why did Jesus tell us we are blessed when we go through afflictions? Okay, quickly, a reference, the ultimate reference, the Gospel, chapter 5. The longest in this book, it has lots of explanations. It says the past causes of our sufferings, the present causes of our sufferings. And they disclose to us something so unique. The majority of our afflictions were created in this life, except to certain scenarios, majority of them created here. We often think that we're going through something because of previous lives. If some people say, I knew the coronavirus would come one day. If we were walking the line, the coronavirus wouldn't be here. We didn't need that experience. Right now on Earth, we are misbehaving, if I may say it this way, like children. So we really need to reflect right now what we have been creating as a gardener who's cultivating its own, like the orchard, for example, for a farmer. What are we going to harvest if we keep sowing what we're sowing? Discord, dissension, animosity, um, hatred, prejudices, versus hope, joy, friendship, doing the good towards others. What are we going to reap after these different sowings? So blessed are the afflicted because they have the opportunity to recalibrate themselves. It's an opportunity for us, as André Luiz showing, to recalibrate. Right? What you guys want to say?
I think it's also important that we remind ourselves too, Vanessa, as we read throughout André Luiz's books and the book by Yvonne Pereira, Memoirs of a Suicide, that what we go through, it's in a way, let's say, lessen like the degree, right, from what we did, what we actually, the kind and benevolent spirits let us go through is so much less than we actually even, created ourselves. Like they always help us and bless us in so many ways. So I think it's a reminder that, it, first it what we planted was probably much worse, but they are so kind and benevolent. They're saying, I will let you go with the coronavirus, and that will be the learning instead of going through something much, greater than that. So I think it's really a reminds for us to I always look at the positive side, and I think one of the positive side is to really, as we read, throughout the accounts, that they are so loving and kind, and they're taking care of us, that what they gave us is only like a very small percentage actually of, what we have actually planted.
Yes.
And,
Thank you, Daisy.
and
Paloma.
I want to add something that I observed today when just, the first day of being home with the kids and school. And it was just so beautiful to see that even in moments of turbulence, there is calmness to it, right? If there is a snowstorm, there's silence. And even though there is the coronavirus right now, if you
Mhm.
stop and pay attention, there's calmness, like you're home and the level is naturally down. And I then I was observing the birds and my dog and thinking they believe so much in God that there's no doubt. There's no coronavirus that will stop the animals. They're there getting ready with their nest. And it's just beautiful how God has our lives all planned out. We have the conscious, the animals don't, so they keep going. We are thinking, but if you stop and pay attention to this calmness, then we're able to get the best out of the experience. And I think it's very providential. In a beautiful day like we had today in Virginia, there was a lot of reflection happening and very grateful for what we are experiencing right now, actually.
You're right, Paloma. And this is why, wherever we are now, if we're in the hospital, we pray for you. We pray for those who have to be at the, forefront of it all, the doctors, the nurses, the emergency people who have to be there no matter what, all the caregivers. But on our end, we have a choice of being grumpy and mad about it because our lives are changed, or really embrace this and say, I'll be creative and I'll see the good, I'll seek the good, like
Mhm.
Paloma is saying. And because God is asking us to revisit many things in our lives. I think right now, Carol is saying we are also developing new skills because of the changes in our daily routine. And she's
Mhm.
saying she's so grateful for the learning opportunities. For
Mhm.
sure, all of us here at Cardiac Radio in the SSVA, today we had the opportunity of streaming. Carol made so much effort in providing the lesson for the children live through the Spirit Side of Virginia's Facebook page. In that moment, we are learning new skills. But that's a choice we have because everybody has social media at hand. There you go. Think of the people who are less fortunate at this very time.
Mhm.
Of course, we're not going to go there, hug and kiss and shake hands because we can't. Please don't. Right, Daisy?
No.
No,
No.
this is not a time to hug, though we're huggers, but we can't.
Mhm.
Don't, let's not be in contact, but through social media, we can bridge it up and diminish this distance between us or amongst ourselves, right? So, friends, we're going to wrap up with a prayer and we ask our dear Daisy to help us with this prayer, right, Daisy?
That's true. So we invite everyone to, whenever you are at this very moment, stop everything that you're doing to connect to your guardian angel that's always by your side and always with us. In whatever you're going through at this very moment, know that God loves you so much that assign you a coach, a mentor, a friend to be by your side at every single moment of our lives. So, thinking about this kind and benevolent friend and raising our thoughts to God and our Master Jesus, dear loving God, as we go through these very moments of new learning opportunities on earth, challenges, we also stop to think about the many blessings in our lives because you know the learning opportunities and the situations we're going through. And we have so many blessings that we need to shift our minds to focus on the good things in our lives. Illuminate us, Father, so that we can focus on the positive and the good things that the circumstances of life brings to us. And we raise our thoughts to those that we know that at this very moment are in much, much greater need than us. We ask that they can also feel the blessings that you bring to us at this very moment. Imagine our planet Earth surrounded by loving light, green healing light that shower upon our whole planet, dissolving the mental bacteria, the virus, and replacing them with loving thoughts of kindness, of peace, and really true friendship among all of us in our planet. Because we feel, Father, secure in your love, and we know that everything passes, and this shall also pass. Because you don't give us, Father, a burden that is heavier than we can carry. Feeling courageous in these moments on earth, we ask your permission to close these beautiful moments of study tonight, asking that we can keep vibrating higher with you throughout this evening and for the days to come. And so be it.
Okay, friends. Thank you so much, Paloma. Thank you. Thank you, Daisy.
Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you. And here we have to finalize our Master Jesus, hoping that we can stay here with him in this serene moment when he is inviting us to count the blessings of the current time. Blessed are the afflicted, as they say here in the Gospel according to Spiritism, quoting from the very Master Jesus when he said it all, he had it for us. Let me read it for you. Blessed are they who weep, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are they who suffer persecution because of righteousness, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. You are blessed, you who are poor, for the kingdom of heaven is yours. You are blessed, you who now hunger, for you shall be filled. You are fortunate, you who now weep, for you shall laugh. But woe to you who are rich, for you have your consolation in this world. Woe to you who are filled, for you shall be hungry. Woe to you who now laugh, for you shall be reduced to mourning and tears. Blessed are the afflicted. Thank you, friends. Thank you for joining us at Cardiac Radio, at the SSPA, and until next time, many blessings.